There is a moment that comes quietly, often without warning. You notice it first in the morning, when you rise from bed and your body feels heavier than it should. Or perhaps you notice it halfway through the day, when the mental clarity you once took for granted seems to have slipped away, leaving behind a fog that no amount of coffee can lift. You might notice it in the evening, when the thought of joining friends for dinner feels more exhausting than inviting. When the energy you once had for life's simple pleasures now seems reserved for just getting through the day. If this sounds familiar, you have likely told yourself that this is simply what aging feels like. That after 60, declining energy is inevitable. That the body has done its work and is now entitled to slow down. But what if this assumption, as natural as it seems, is based on a misunderstanding of how the body actually works? What if the tiredness you feel is not a signal of depletion, but a signal that your body's natural energy systems have simply fallen out of rhythm, waiting for conditions they no longer receive? The human body after 60 is not a battery running low. It is more like an engine that has been idling for years, never quite reaching the conditions that allow it to run at its proper temperature, with its proper fuel, in its proper rhythm. The capacity for energy remains. The systems that produce it are still there, still functioning, still ready to respond. But they have been waiting, perhaps for decades, for the signals that tell them it is time to awaken. What most people never realize is that energy is not something you consume. It is something you cultivate. It is not found in a cup or a pill. It arises from conditions, from the alignment of basic biological systems that have operated the same way for thousands of generations. And when those conditions are met, the body responds not with borrowed energy that fades within hours, but with the steady, reliable vitality that was always there, waiting to be remembered. You are listening to the Longevity Library, where we archive the wisdom of healthy aging. The architecture of vitality. Understanding your body's natural energy systems. There is a moment in the early morning, before the world stirs into its full rhythm, when the body reveals something important about the nature of energy itself. In that space between sleep and wakefulness, between the darkness and the light, you may have noticed that your body does not simply switch on like a machine. It does not leap from rest to activity in an instant. Instead, it transitions slowly, hesitantly, as if it needs to remember how to be awake. For many people over 60, this transition has become increasingly difficult. The morning feels heavy. The mind feels clouded. The limbs feel as though they are moving through water rather than air. This experience is so common that most people accept it as an inevitable part of growing older. They assume that energy naturally declines with age, and that the only response is to push through with stimulants or simply accept a slower, more limited life. But this assumption deserves closer examination. What if the tiredness you feel in the morning is not a sign that your energy stores are permanently depleted, but rather a signal that your body's natural energy systems need to be awakened in a different way? What if the problem is not a lack of fuel, but a lack of the right conditions for your body to generate its own energy efficiently? The human body after 60 is not a failing machine. It is a system that has operated for decades, accumulating wisdom in its cells, adapting to countless challenges, and developing patterns that may no longer serve it well. The body still contains all the mechanisms it needs to produce vibrant, steady energy. Those mechanisms simply need to be supported and activated in ways that respect the changes that time has brought. This is not about fighting age or trying to reverse it. It is about understanding how your body actually works and giving it what it needs to function optimally at this stage of life. The foundational shift. Understanding energy production in the maturing body. To understand why energy changes after 60, it helps to understand how the body produces energy at any age. Every cell in your body contains tiny structures called mitochondria. These are often described as the power plants of the cell. and for good reason. Their job is to convert the oxygen you breathe and the nutrients you eat into a form of energy that your cells can use. This energy powers everything from your thoughts to your movements to your body's constant work of repair and maintenance. When you are young, your mitochondria are numerous and efficient. They respond quickly to signals from your body and produce energy readily. But as decades pass, several things happen. The number of mitochondria in your cells can gradually decline. The ones that remain may become less efficient, producing less energy from the same amount of fuel. They can also become damaged over time, and the body's ability to clear away and replace damaged mitochondria slows down. This is not a failure. It is a natural part of the aging process, observed in every living organism that ages. But it does mean that the body's energy systems require different conditions to operate well. The same habits that supported abundant energy at 30 may not work as well at 60. The body needs more support, more careful attention to the basics, more consistency in the conditions that allow mitochondria to function. There is another factor at play as well. With age, the body's circulation naturally becomes less vigorous. Blood vessels lose some of their elasticity, making it harder for them to expand and contract in response to the body's needs. The heart, after decades of steady work, may pump with slightly less force. This matters because blood is the delivery system for everything your cells need. It carries oxygen from your lungs to your tissues. It carries nutrients from your digestive system to your organs. It carries hormones that regulate countless processes. When circulation slows, delivery slows, and energy production slows with it. The nervous system also changes. The balance between the sympathetic branch, which governs alertness and stress response, and the parasympathetic branch, which governs rest and repair, becomes more delicate. The body can become stuck in patterns of low-grade stress, even during sleep, which means you wake up already running on a depleted system rather than a refreshed one. These changes are not dramatic. They happen gradually, over years, so gradually that you may not notice them until one day you realize that mornings feel different, that your energy flags by mid-afternoon, that the coffee you once drank for pleasure now feels like a necessity. But understanding these underlying shifts is the first step toward working with your body rather than against it. The goal is not to reverse these changes, which is not possible, but to create conditions that allow your body to function as well as it can within them. The breath as foundation, oxygen, and the awakening of cellular energy. Of all the inputs your body requires to produce energy, none is more immediate or more essential than oxygen. You can live for weeks without food and days without water, but only minutes without oxygen. Every cell in your body depends on a continuous supply of this element to carry out its work. And yet, most people give almost no thought to how they breathe, especially as they age. Consider what happens during sleep. For 7, 8, or 9 hours, you lie relatively still. Your breathing slows. Your metabolism adjusts to its nighttime rhythm. By the time morning comes, the oxygen levels in your blood are typically lower than they will be at any other point in the day. This is normal, but its effects are significant. Lower oxygen means slower energy production. It means brain cells receiving less of what they need to fire clearly. It means muscles receiving less fuel from movement. The natural response to this morning oxygen deficit might be to take a few deep breaths, to stretch, to step into fresh air. But most people do none of these things. Instead, they reach for coffee, which provides an artificial stimulation that masks the underlying oxygen shortage without addressing it. The way you breathe throughout the day also changes with age. Over time, breathing patterns tend to become shallower and more confined to the upper chest. The lower lungs, which are richly supplied with blood vessels designed to absorb oxygen, are used less and less. This means that even when you are awake, your oxygen exchange may not be as efficient as it could be. You are getting enough air to survive, but perhaps not enough to thrive. Not enough for your cells to produce energy at their full potential. Deep, deliberate breathing changes this. When you consciously draw air down into the lower lungs, you expand areas that may have been underused for years. You bring fresh oxygen into contact with the dense network of blood vessels that line the lung tissue. That oxygen enters your bloodstream and is carried to every part of your body. Within minutes, your blood oxygen levels rise. Your heart, receiving more oxygen-rich blood, pumps more efficiently. Your brain, which consumes about 20% of the body's oxygen despite being only 2% of its weight, begins to function more clearly. There is another layer to this as well. The way you breathe directly influences your nervous system. Shallow, rapid breathing tends to activate the sympathetic nervous system, the branch associated with stress and alertness. Deep, slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch associated with calm and repair. When you wake up, your body may still be carrying traces of stress from the previous day. Your nervous system may be slightly tilted towards sympathetic dominance. Deep breathing in the morning helps reset this balance, signaling to your entire system that it is safe to shift into a calm, wakeful state. The effects are not just internal. Over time, regular deep breathing can improve lung capacity and strengthen the muscles involved in respiration. It can encourage better posture, because shallow breathing often accompanies rounded shoulders and a forward head position, while deep breathing encourages an open chest and relaxed shoulders. This better posture itself supports better oxygen flow, creating a virtuous cycle. For those who have spent decades breathing shallowly, returning to deep breathing can feel unfamiliar at first. The body has forgotten what full breaths feel like, but the capacity remains. With practice, it returns. The lungs, even in later years, retain their ability to expand and contract fully when given the chance. The respiratory muscles, like any muscles, respond to use by becoming stronger and more efficient. The simplest way to begin is upon waking. Before you do anything else, stand by an open window if possible, or step outside. Let your shoulders drop. Breathe in slowly through your nose, allowing the air to travel down into your lower lungs. Your belly should expand gently. Hold the breath for a moment, then exhale slowly and completely through your nose. Repeat this 10 times. The entire practice takes perhaps 2 minutes, but its effects can shape the entire day. The circulation awakening. How temperature and movement support blood flow. If oxygen is the fuel for energy, circulation is the delivery system. Blood carries oxygen from the lungs to every cell. It carries nutrients from digestion to tissues. It carries away waste products that would otherwise accumulate and slow down cellular function. When circulation is sluggish, everything slows with it. After 60, several factors can contribute to slower circulation. Blood vessels naturally lose some of their elasticity, making it harder for them to expand and contract in response to the body's needs. Physical activity may have decreased over the years, reducing the natural pumping action that movement provides. The heart itself, after decades of work, may pump with slightly less force. The result is that blood moves more slowly through the body, and cells receive their supplies less efficiently. This sluggish circulation is particularly noticeable in the morning, after hours of lying still. With the heart working in its slow nighttime rhythm, blood has pooled in the core and moved less through the extremities. This is why many older adults wake up with stiff hands and feet, why movements feel clumsy and slow, why the body feels heavy rather than light. There are ways to address this without medication or strenuous exercise. One of the most effective involves simply using water at different temperatures. When warm water touches the skin, blood vessels near the surface dilate, expanding to allow more blood to flow through. This creates a sensation of warmth and relaxation. When cold water touches the skin, those same vessels constrict, pushing blood away from the surface and toward the deeper organs. Alternating between warm and cold water creates a pumping effect. Dilation followed by constriction, followed by dilation again, acts as a gentle workout for the vascular system. Blood is encouraged to move, to flow from surface to core and back again. The lymphatic system, which helps clear waste from tissues but has no pump of its own, is also stimulated by these changes. It relies on movement and external stimulation to function, and temperature contrast provides exactly that. For someone over 60, this practice offers particular advantages. It does not require vigorous movement, so it is accessible even to those with joint stiffness or mobility limitations. It can be done while standing still, in the familiar setting of one's own shower. It provides a way to awaken the circulatory system gently, without the shock of sudden intense exercise. The practice itself is simple. Begin with warm water for about 30 seconds, allowing the warmth to penetrate your muscles and relax your vessels. Then switch to cool or cold water for about 15 seconds. The first moment of cold may be surprising, but within seconds your body begins to respond. Your breathing may deepen. Your skin tightens. You may feel a sense of alertness rise. Then switch back to warm for another 30 seconds. Repeating this cycle 2 or 3 times, ending with cold if you wish to feel fully awake, provides the full benefit. What happens inside during this process is worth understanding. The warm phase brings blood to the surface, warming the skin and superficial tissues. The cold phase pushes that blood inward, toward the organs that need it most. This rhythmic movement helps train blood vessels to remain responsive, to retain their ability to expand and contract as needed. Over time, this can support healthier blood pressure regulation and better overall cardiovascular function. Many people who adopt this practice notice that their hands and feet, which may have felt chronically cold, become warmer over time. This is a sign that peripheral circulation is improving, that blood is reaching the extremities more effectively. When blood reaches these areas, it brings oxygen and nutrients with it, supporting the health of every cell it touches. For those who find the idea of cold water uncomfortable, the key is gradual adaptation, starting with water that is merely cool rather than cold, and for shorter durations, allows the body to adjust. Over weeks, as the practice becomes familiar, the temperature can be lowered and the duration extended. What once felt shocking becomes invigorating, even welcome. The question of morning fuel, eating for sustained energy. The relationship between food and energy is not as straightforward as most people assume. It is not simply that eating provides fuel, and more fuel means more energy. The type of food, the timing of eating, and the state of your digestive system all influence whether a meal leaves you feeling energized or drained. After 60, the digestive system undergoes changes that affect how food is processed. Production of digestive enzymes may decrease. Stomach acid may become less potent. The muscles of the digestive tract may move food through more slowly. These changes mean that the same foods that were easily handled at 40 may now require more effort from your body to break down and absorb. This is particularly relevant in the morning. When you eat a heavy meal first thing, your body directs a significant portion of your blood flow toward the digestive organs to handle the work of breakdown and absorption. This is normal and necessary, but it means that less blood is available for your brain and muscles. If the meal is difficult to digest, this diversion of resources can last for hours. You may feel tired not because you didn't sleep well, but because your digestive system is working hard just when your body should be waking up. Many traditional breakfast foods compound this problem. Fried foods, processed meats, refined breads, and sugary cereals all demand significant digestive effort while providing relatively little nutritional return. They may create an initial feeling of fullness, but that fullness is often followed by sluggishness as the body struggles to process what it has received. A different approach to morning eating focuses on lightness and nutrient density. Fresh fruits, for example, provide natural sugars for quick energy, but they come packaged with fiber, water, vitamins, and enzymes. The fiber slows the release of sugar into the bloodstream, preventing the spike and crash that refined sugars cause. The water content supports hydration. The vitamins and enzymes support cellular function. And fruit passes through the stomach relatively quickly, requiring less digestive energy than heavier foods. Soaked nuts offer another option. Soaking nuts overnight in water breaks down natural enzyme inhibitors, making them easier to digest. The nuts provide healthy fats and plant proteins that help sustain energy over longer periods without burdening digestion. A small handful of soaked almonds or walnuts, combined with fresh fruit, provides a balance of quick and sustained fuel. Smoothies take this approach a step further. By blending fruits with leafy greens, seeds, or soaked nuts, you create a nutrient-dense drink that requires minimal digestive effort. The blending process partially breaks down the food, meaning your body can absorb the nutrients quickly without spending excessive energy on digestion. Within minutes of drinking a well-made smoothie, your bloodstream receives a flood of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that support cellular energy production. For those who have spent decades eating heavy breakfasts, this shift can feel unfamiliar at first. The body may expect the familiar sensation of a full stomach and interpret the absence of that sensation as hunger. But within a few days of lighter morning eating, most people notice changes. The mid-morning slump that once felt inevitable begins to fade. The brain feels clearer. The body feels lighter. Energy that was once consumed by digestion becomes available for living. The hidden factor: hydration and its role in cellular function. Water is so basic, so ordinary, that its importance is easily overlooked. Yet every process in your body depends on it. Blood is mostly water, and its ability to carry oxygen and nutrients depends on maintaining proper fluid balance. Digestion requires water to produce digestive fluids and move material through the intestines. Detoxification requires water to flush waste products from cells and organs. Energy production inside mitochondria requires a well-hydrated environment to proceed efficiently. After a night of sleep, your body is always somewhat dehydrated. You have gone 7 to 9 hours without taking in fluids, while continuing to lose water through breathing and subtle sweating. This overnight fluid loss is normal, but its effects are significant. Blood volume decreases slightly, making blood thicker and harder to pump. Circulation slows. Oxygen delivery to cells becomes less efficient. By the time you wake, your body is operating at a deficit. The challenge for older adults is that the sensation of thirst becomes less reliable with age. The signals that tell a younger person to drink become muted. It is entirely possible to be mildly dehydrated without feeling thirsty, to go through the morning unaware that your body is struggling with insufficient fluid. This chronic low-level dehydration contributes to fatigue, mental fog, and a general sense of low energy, all while being easily correctable. Drinking water first thing in the morning addresses this deficit directly. 2 glasses of room temperature water, consumed before anything else, begin to restore fluid balance. Blood volume increases. Blood becomes thinner and flows more easily. Circulation improves. The heart, working against less resistance, pumps more efficiently. Oxygen and nutrients reach cells more readily. The effects are not just about circulation. Water also supports the detoxification processes that occur during sleep. Throughout the night, your liver and kidneys have been working to process metabolic waste and prepare it for elimination. Drinking water in the morning helps flush this waste from your system, supporting bowel movements and kidney function. Without sufficient water, this waste lingers longer, and your body carries the burden of its presence. The brain is particularly sensitive to hydration status. Even mild dehydration can impair concentration, short-term memory, and decision-making. For someone over 60 who may already notice changes in cognitive speed, dehydration can make these changes feel more pronounced. Rehydrating in the morning gives the brain what it needs to function clearly, supporting mental sharpness throughout the day. The temperature of the water matters, though not dramatically. Room temperature or slightly warm water is generally easiest for the body to absorb, as it closely matches the body's own temperature. Very cold water can temporarily slow digestion, while very hot water can irritate the stomach lining. But the most important thing is simply to drink the water. Temperature is secondary to consistency. For those who rely on morning coffee, the order matters. Coffee and caffeinated teas have mild diuretic effects, meaning they encourage the body to release water. If you drink coffee while still dehydrated from the night, you compound the problem. Drinking water first, then waiting 15 or 20 minutes before coffee, allows your body to rehydrate before encountering the diuretic effect. Many people find that after establishing this habit, their need for coffee diminishes naturally, because the fatigue they were fighting was never a lack of caffeine, but a lack of water. Light is signal, circadian rhythms, and the biology of wakefulness. Light is not just for seeing. It is a biological signal, one of the most powerful inputs your body receives. When light enters your eyes, it does more than allow you to perceive the world. It triggers responses throughout your nervous system and endocrine system, setting the timing for countless internal processes. Deep within the brain, in a region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, lies your body's master clock. This cluster of cells generates the circadian rhythm, an internal 24-hour cycle that governs when you feel alert and when you feel sleepy, when hormones are released and when they are suppressed, when your body temperature rises and when it falls. This clock is not perfectly accurate on its own. It needs external signals to stay synchronized with the outside world. And the most important of those signals is light. Morning light, in particular, plays a unique role. When light enters your eyes in the early hours, it suppresses the production of melatonin, the hormone that promotes sleep. It triggers the release of cortisol in a controlled, healthy pulse that helps you feel alert and awake. It begins the process of raising your body temperature, which continues through the morning and supports full wakefulness. It sets the timing for your entire day, influencing when you will feel energetic and when you will feel ready for sleep. For older adults, this light signaling becomes even more important. With age, the circadian rhythm can become weaker and less precisely timed. The master clock may generate a weaker signal. The eyes may transmit light less effectively to the brain. And many older adults spend more time indoors, under artificial light that does not provide the same signals as natural sunlight. The result can be a circadian rhythm that drifts, leading to trouble falling asleep at night, trouble waking in the morning, and energy that feels unpredictable throughout the day. Morning sunlight exposure addresses this directly. 15 to 20 minutes of light within the first hour of waking helps reset the master clock, strengthening the circadian rhythm and synchronizing it with the external world. This does not require direct sunbathing or any special activity. Simply being outside, with eyes open to receive the light, is enough. Even on cloudy days, outdoor light is significantly brighter than indoor light and provides the necessary signal. The quality of morning light matters. Early sunlight contains a higher proportion of blue wavelengths, which are particularly effective at signaling the master clock. Later in the day, the light spectrum shifts, providing different signals. This is why morning light is uniquely valuable for setting the day's rhythm, and why evening light, especially from screens, can disrupt sleep by providing wakefulness signals at the wrong time. For those who cannot easily get outside, sitting by a window that receives direct morning light can provide some benefit, though less than being outdoors. The key is to have light enter the eyes without sunglasses, which filter the wavelengths that carry the signal. Even a few minutes of exposure is beneficial, and longer exposure provides stronger effects. Movement as medicine. Gentle activity and mitochondrial support. Movement is often discussed in terms of its obvious benefits: stronger muscles, better cardiovascular health, weight management. But movement also plays a more subtle role in energy production, one that becomes increasingly important with age. When you move your body, even gently, you increase circulation. Blood flows more freely, delivering oxygen and nutrients to cells and carrying away waste products. The lymphatic system, which has no pump of its own, is stimulated by muscle contractions, helping clear toxins from tissues. Muscles themselves, when used, send signals that support the health and function of mitochondria, the cellular power plants. This last point is worth understanding in more detail. Mitochondria are not static structures. They are dynamic, constantly changing in response to the body's demands. When muscles are used regularly, mitochondria within those muscles multiply and become more efficient. When muscles are inactive, mitochondria decline. This is one reason that sedentary periods lead to lower energy. The body's energy-producing machinery is literally downregulated when not needed. For older adults, this means that movement, even gentle movement, serves as a signal to maintain the body's capacity for energy production. A daily walk, some light stretching, a few minutes of moving the arms and legs, all tell the body that it needs to keep its energy systems ready. Without this signal, the natural decline in mitochondrial function accelerates. The timing of movement also matters. Moving in the morning, after exposure to light and before eating, amplifies the benefits of both. Light has already begun to shift the body toward wakefulness. Movement completes that shift, raising body temperature, increasing circulation, and signaling to every system that the active part of the day has begun. This morning movement does not need to be strenuous. For many older adults, a slow to moderate walk is ideal. For those with mobility limitations, seated exercises or gentle stretching can provide similar benefits. The goal is not to work hard, but to awaken, to remind the body that it is capable of movement and that movement is expected. The cumulative effects of this daily practice are significant. Over weeks and months, muscles maintain their strength and function. Joints remain more flexible. Circulation stays more vigorous. The body's energy systems receive a daily signal to remain active and responsive. And each morning's movement becomes easier, more natural, more anticipated. The integration of practices. How morning habits work together. Each of the practices described so far has its own benefits. Deep breathing improves oxygenation. Temperature contrast stimulates circulation. Light exposure sets the circadian rhythm. Hydration supports every cellular process. Gentle movement activates muscles and mitochondria. Light eating reduces digestive burden. But the full power of these practices emerges when they are combined, when they work together as an integrated system. Consider what happens when you do all of them in sequence. You wake and drink water. immediately beginning to reverse the night's dehydration. Your blood becomes thinner. Your circulation improves. Your cells begin to receive what they need. Then you breathe deeply, drawing oxygen deep into your lungs, raising your blood oxygen levels and activating your parasympathetic nervous system. Your body shifts from any residual nighttime stress into a calm, wakeful state. You step outside into morning light. The light enters your eyes and signals your master clock, suppressing melatonin and triggering a healthy cortisol pulse. Your circadian rhythm begins to synchronize with the external day. Your body temperature starts its morning rise. You move gently, perhaps walking, perhaps stretching. This movement increases circulation further, stimulates your lymphatic system, and signals your mitochondria to remain active and efficient. Later, in the shower, you use alternating temperatures to give your vascular system a gentle workout. Blood vessels expand and contract, maintaining their responsiveness. Lymphatic flow is stimulated. You emerge feeling deeply awake, your entire circulatory system activated. Finally, you eat a light, nutrient-dense breakfast, because your body is already fully awake, hydrated, and oxygenated. Digestion proceeds efficiently. Nutrients are absorbed and delivered to cells that are ready to receive them. Energy that might have been consumed by heavy digestion is instead available for thinking, moving, and living. This sequence is not random. It follows the body's natural progression from sleep to wakefulness, supporting each step rather than forcing or skipping any of them. The water addresses the night's dehydration. The breathing awakens the respiratory and nervous systems. The light resets the circadian clock. The movement activates muscles and mitochondria. The temperature contrast stimulates circulation. The light meal provides fuel without burden. Each practice amplifies the effects of the others. Hydration makes oxygen delivery more efficient. Deep breathing improves circulation. Light exposure enhances the effectiveness of movement. Movement supports the benefits of light eating. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The question of consistency. Why habits matter more than intensity? In discussions of health and energy, there is often an emphasis on intensity. The assumption is that more is better, that harder workouts and stricter diets produce better results. But for older adults, and perhaps for anyone seeking sustainable energy, consistency matters more than intensity. A gentle walk every day produces greater long-term benefits than an intense walk once a week. A few minutes of deep breathing each morning is more valuable than an hour of breathing exercises done occasionally. Drinking water daily matters more than drinking large amounts sporadically. The body responds to regular signals. It adapts to patterns. It learns to expect certain inputs at certain times and prepares itself accordingly. This is why the morning routine described here is designed to be gentle enough to maintain every day. It does not require willpower or heroic effort. It does not demand that you push through discomfort or sacrifice other parts of your life. It simply asks that you give your body, each morning, the basic conditions it needs to function well. Over time, these daily practices create a foundation that supports everything else. Energy becomes more reliable. Mood becomes more stable. Sleep becomes more restful. The body becomes more resilient, better able to handle the inevitable stresses and challenges of life. And all of this happens not through dramatic interventions, but through consistent attention to the fundamentals. For those who have spent years or decades moving away from these fundamentals, returning to them can feel like a homecoming. The body remembers what it needs. It responds gratefully to being cared for. The practices that once felt like effort become, over time, simply what you do, as natural as opening your eyes in the morning. The larger context, energy and the whole person, Discussions of energy often focus narrowly on the physical body, on cells and hormones and metabolic processes. But energy is not just physical. It is also mental and emotional and social. A person can have perfectly functioning mitochondria and still feel drained if they are lonely, purposeless, or disconnected from life. This is worth acknowledging because the practices described here, while focused on physical systems, also support the whole person. Deep breathing calms the mind as well as the body. Morning light lifts mood as well as setting circadian rhythms. Gentle movement provides a sense of agency and capability. Hydration and good nutrition support brain function as well as cellular energy. When you care for your body in these ways, you are also caring for your mind and spirit. The clarity that comes from good oxygenation is not just physical clarity. The calm that comes from nervous system regulation is not just physical calm. The sense of vitality that comes from moving your body in the morning light is not just physical vitality. It pervades everything. This is perhaps the most important insight about energy after 60. It is not something you either have or lack, not a fixed quantity that inevitably declines. It is something you participate in, something you support or undermine with your daily choices. Your body, even with all the changes that time has brought, remains capable of generating energy. It simply needs the right conditions. The practices described here provide those conditions. They are not complicated or expensive or demanding. They are simple, accessible, and grounded in how the body actually works. They ask only that you show up each morning and give your body what it needs. In return, they offer something precious, the experience of moving through your days with steady, reliable energy, fully alive to whatever life brings. A final perspective, the long view. There is a tendency, when discussing health practices, to focus on immediate results. People want to know how quickly they will feel better, how soon their energy will improve. This is understandable. The desire for relief from fatigue is urgent and real. But the deepest benefits of these practices unfold over longer time frames. The person who breathes deeply each morning, year after year, maintains lung capacity that would otherwise decline. The person who uses temperature contrast regularly preserves vascular responsiveness that would otherwise diminish. The person who walks in morning light sustains a circadian rhythm that supports restful sleep and alert wakefulness. The person who hydrates consistently supports every organ system in functioning optimally. These are not benefits that appear in a day or a week. They accumulate slowly, invisibly, until one day you realize that you are moving through life with an ease that others your age lack. You have not reversed aging or stopped time. You have simply supported your body in doing what it can do, given the right conditions. This is the long view of vitality. It is not about quick fixes or dramatic transformations. It is about the quiet, consistent work of caring for yourself, day after day, in ways that honor the body you have and the life you are living. It is about recognizing that energy, like so much else, is cultivated rather than found, built rather than given. The morning offers a fresh opportunity for this cultivation every single day. However yesterday went, however tired you felt, however many cups of coffee you drank, tomorrow morning you can begin again. You can drink your water, breathe your breaths, step into the light, move your body, eat lightly, and give yourself the conditions for energy to arise naturally. This is not a guarantee of perfect energy every day, but it is a foundation, a reliable starting point from which everything else becomes possible. In the end, that is all any of us can do. We cannot control everything that happens to our bodies or in our lives, but we can control how we start each day. We can choose to give ourselves the basics, the fundamentals, the simple supports that allow our natural energy systems to function. And having done that, We can move into the day with the quiet confidence that we have done what we can, that we have prepared the ground, that we are ready for whatever comes. The single most important truth to carry with you is this: your body after 60 is not incapable of producing energy. It is simply waiting for the right conditions, the right signals, the right rhythm that allows its natural systems to function as they were designed to function. As you reflect on what we have explored together, you might consider what it would mean to meet your body each morning not with stimulants and expectations, but with the simple gifts it actually requires: water, breath, light, movement, nourishment. These are not complicated interventions. They are the most basic elements of life, the fundamentals that every human body has needed since the beginning of our species. And they remain available to you every single morning, regardless of where you live or what your circumstances may be. If these ideas resonate with you, if they spark a curiosity about what your own mornings might become, we would be honored to hear your thoughts in the comments. What did this bring up for you? What have you noticed about your own energy that you had not considered before? The Longevity Library exists not as a source of answers, but as a space for reflection, for the quiet work of understanding what it means to age well. If you would like to continue this exploration, we invite you to explore other videos in our library and to subscribe so that you do not miss the wisdom yet to come. Each week, we add another volume to this archive, another perspective on what it means to live long and live well. This is the Longevity Library. Listen, learn, and live longer.